Hey everyone, Zoraz here from The Casuals. Today I'm going to talk about Behemoths in Call of Dragons. Now, Behemoths are different bosses that are all scattered throughout the world and have many different effects. You will be able to use them to fight other alliances and defend your fortresses. They're all over the map and there are many of them, but as you get further down, there is less and less of them. And of course, the last one, the dragon, there's only one of them, which is why the game is called Call of Dragon. Now, the way these work is basically every few days, the server will unlock the ability to capture these behemoths in different zones of the territory, going from the bear all the way to the dragon. And it will be basically called the season events. And when your alliance is connected to one of their lair with an alliance territory from basically a tower or a fortress, you will be able to attack it. Now, once you attack it and defeat it with your alliance, you will capture it and it will become yours. And then you will have the ability to summon it in combat for fighting against other alliances. Now, that is the concept of this game. It is similar to shrines in Rise of Kingdom, for example, and they do provide buffs of different kinds, such as building speed, healing speed, and so on. Now, one aspect about Behemoths that is quite unique is that you can then do elite raids. Now, these elite raids do provide extra rewards, and the first alliance on the server to complete them will also get special border for their profile. But on top of that, they will also become much harder to beat, so you will require a much stronger and more coordinated alliance to beat them. But when you do beat them, you will get basically a buffed version of that mob, so it will become stronger, and then when it fights for you, it will be stronger and last longer, for example. Now, of course, that comes with them having much stronger abilities, and you will have to really pay attention to what they do, because you will need to play properly around them, or you might wipe and have to try all over again. So the way elite raids work is that you will need to have a behemoth lair that is controlled by your alliance, and for that behemoth lair to be closed, meaning that after you capture it, there's a downtime of like a day or two, and then after that it becomes closed for like 2 or 3 days, meaning that nobody else can capture it from you for that period of time. And then that is when your alliance can summon that fight for you to fight and try and beat. The first time your alliance does an elite raid, every alliance member will receive rewards, and that works for every single behemoth. So basically, you will give rewards to your whole alliance every time you beat these elite raids, but you can do them more than once to keep upgrading the same behemoth over and over again. You just won't get rewards after the first time. So the way it works, of course, is everybody shows up at the elite raid, and then you can go into the alliance menu. An officer can click on the elite raid and then click the start button, which will start the challenge. Then your alliance can move in, and as you can see, we just move around. Now, for the bear boss, it is recommended that you read all the skills here, as they have many different effects. Most important ones will be that the bear will have a charge in a big line in front of him, and then if you get hit by that, you take a lot of damage, the bear gets buffed, and if you don't get hit by it, the bear will instead stun himself and be a lot easier to handle. It will also summon runes on the ground, and then if you have 3 of your players clicking on those runes, you will spawn a little healing area of effect around the rune, which will heal anybody who's in that area. So it's very important to pay attention to that and use those. You will see later in the video us using them quite a few times, and it is making a big difference. So of course, I recommend reading through all these abilities before fighting it, but you'll see the fight. It's quite straightforward once we get started. It is really just about avoiding having all of your players clumped up in one region, as that is what is going to cause more damage from the bear, as most of his abilities are AoE. So as you can see, we decided to spread around in a big circle around him, which I feel is going to be a similar strategy for a lot of players. And of course, also one thing to note here is that you have a special menu that shows you everybody who's present. So it's maximum of 40 players. Right now we have 31, and you can go through the different menus and see the damage done, the threat, so whoever is tanking, as well as how many units are remaining in everybody's marches. So it is quite interesting. It is really like a raid in World of Warcraft, for example. So it is something that is quite unique to this game, and one of the aspects that I find actually the most refreshing for a game of this kind. So we're just going to get started here. Of course, the fight takes quite a little bit, so I'll fast forward some bits so that you guys can get to enjoy the action. Now, as you can see, the fight starts pretty straightforward. Everybody just attacks. It is recommended that more people than not bring range mobs, such as mages and archers, as of course it is a behemoth that attacks in melee and does a lot of AoE, so he will clear through a lot of people if everybody's in melee, and he does a lot of AoE that you simply can't avoid sometimes. I can see here the line, the red line on the ground, that isn't charging its charge. Now, of course, it's really hard to avoid it because if you are in that line and you're CC'd in some way, you won't have time to move out away from it. So it is why you recommend people to be spread away from them. You don't want to be close to the bear as he is going to really ram into you if you are. Now you can see here our first rune has spawned. It's a little green icon with a 0 out of 3 on the ground. Now once all of the players who are around there have clicked it, they will be able to get a 16% healing factor, which is pretty decent. This happens every time the boss loses 20% of his HP. As you can see here, it heals everybody in the area, whether they clicked on the rune or not, and it is a significant amount. So this you have to utilize, especially for people who are injured. If your March took some damage, try and go to the runes when you see them. There will be 4, 5, or more of them spawn throughout the fight. Of course, I recommend that everybody try and bring heroes that are well adapted to fighting these kind of mobs, peacekeepers, mages, as well as bring artifacts that will help more players than only yourself. So for example, the artifact that gives buff of damage around like players in the AoE, as well as the artifact that heals players in AoE, and artifacts that will debuff the enemy in some ways, increase defense or increase attack for people around you. There's quite a few of them. Obviously it depends on what you have, but the more of these team playing artifacts are better than just single target damage, for example. But of course, bring what you can. It is obviously early in the game. This is the first behemoth, and every single elite behemoth fight will have different mechanics and will get progressively harder, so it will be something to keep a note of. It will have different strategies, and of course we'll try and upload a video of every one of these fights after we've done them to explain the strategy. So if you are interested in that, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned, as our channel will definitely have quite a few videos covering Call of Dragons in the future. Now, one last thing to keep in mind is that the boss does have an Enrage timer. So you will see up here, there is an Enrage Giant Bear's Patience. After a few minutes, if you haven't beaten him, he will start doing a lot more damage, which will wipe your group quite quickly. So it is recommended that you bring as many players as you can. Now we had about 30 players and we were able to do it like about 30 seconds, 40 seconds before the Enrage was engaged. So it wasn't too bad, but of course it was recommended that you try and have as many players here as possible because the HP of the boss is the same no matter if you have 20 or 40 players. And here we have it, guys. That's it. Once you fight him and once you beat him, it completes. So we did it in 4 minutes 50, and we got the bonus that he gives. And you can see the damage received, the damage dealt. Very interesting data to have, of course. You can see who's a whale and who's not. And it is very fun to also see what kind of things you did wrong or you could do better, and just to have that for bragging rights. Of course, it's always unpleasant. Now here are the rewards. You can see more data here. It's very interesting. I would save these reports, for example, because I think this is very fun to have. You never know, you can theorycraft which marches are better. And here are the rewards, pretty standard. Epic Extension Emblem is obviously pretty good, as it allows you to upgrade some epic artifacts in the future and some gems and speed ups. And then you can see here, we still have the Behemoth, it's ours. And you can see here when I go in the menu that it is a level 2. And basically what we got as a buff is that he now lasts 450 seconds longer than he would have previously in a fight, which is basically more than double. So this is going to be very important when you do some fights in fortresses, as it is where you can spawn him. So it will be for PvP features, of course, but it is going to be making a big difference. So you will want to level up your behemoths in this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, if you like this kind of content or if you like this game, make sure to subscribe, as we're going to have a lot of content about this game. And as well, if you are on our server, make sure to drop us a hello in-game, and we look forward to playing with you guys. As well as stay tuned for many upcoming videos for new player guides, free-to-play guides, spending guides, as well as many other tips and tricks that we have figured out in this game and that we can't wait to share with you.